have a few counselors online this evening. We have Counselor Stevens online, Counselor Matthews online, and Mayor Benetti online this evening. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Please note that we have moved public comment to the start of the meeting, and this is the time to make comment about an item on the agenda. As a reminder, the public comment period is intended for the public to share ideas and concerns. There may be opportunities for public comments during specific agenda items that require a public hearing, which is indeed happening this evening. Members of the public are requested to confine their remarks to questions or issues under discussion during this time. During any designated comment period, individuals shall not engage in personal attacks, shall not impugn the motives of any speaker, and shall at all times, while in session, conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. No person shall make personal, impertinent,
Councilor Matthews online, and Mayor Benetti online.
slanderous.
First item.
We're good? Okay. Slanderous or unauthorized remarks or become boisterous while addressing the council. With that said, Scott, would you like to join us at the podium? Scott, I think you know we need you to state your first and last name and where you live, please.
Scott Frazier, and I live on the east side of Coos Bay.
Great, thank you.
Let me put my glasses on. I had a question. Does Rex Miller own the property on 6th Avenue in East Side? It's got a small orchard and 2 covered structures over the water. Somebody found themselves to burn one of the structures recently. I tried to talk to him today. He was out of town, and it's really sad that that happened. On another note, yesterday I attended an employee town hall at Bay Area Hospital. I've been an employee there for 23 years in various roles. The CEO, Brian Moore, told us that because of financial outlook, the board has decided to look for a partner to keep the doors open. He wouldn't say who they were talking to, but that something would need to happen before year's end. And then yesterday evening, I attended the town hall at Marshfield High concerning the state of the Coos County budget. The information shared there wasn't any better. 2 large employers are both struggling and unsure of the road ahead. Neither have a viable solution to their money issues, but in my opinion, we can't keep going to property owners time and time again. We all have a limited amount of income that costs, and the costs are exceeding quickly those funds. I'm asking the city to table plans for replacing the existing library and see how these employers handle their future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Scott. The next person who's requested to speak tonight is Rick Rebfeld. Am I saying that right?
You are.
Thank you, Rick.
I'm Rick Rayfeld, and I live up on Telegraph Hill here in Coos Bay. I have to begin my remarks by pointing out that these are my opinions and my remarks. They do not reflect those of my wife, Ida Jo Gates, who is involved with the library in various capacities. So that disclaimer added to the record. Mayor, council members, and city staff, I recommend the city of Coos Bay build a replacement library building on the Ocean Boulevard site. The building should be a simple, functional, and flexible structure similar to the Cascade Farm outdoor building next door. The objective is a roof that does not leak, a foundation that is not sinking, with flexible space to accommodate future alternative uses. The city of Coos Bay and Coos County are struggling to maintain the current level of services and existing infrastructure. As long as revenue growth is based upon tourism and new retirees moving here, that situation is not going to change. If major industrial growth, for example, the container terminal or the offshore wind farm and its associated support services, were to generate a revenue windfall, building a grander library on the current site would be a possibility and a wonderful accomplishment. Then the temporary library on Ocean Boulevard could be repurposed or sold. Therefore, I support the move to reauthorize and appoint the appointment of members to the Library Facilities Steering Committee, agenda item 3.E on tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person on the who would like to speak is Dean Lundy.
Thank you, commissioners and mayor and anybody else. I wanted to notify everybody that the Front Street Community Bike Works, which is a really hip local bike thing, is having their block party this Saturday. And I saw it last year, and it was just the most heartwarming thing with the kids, the local kids riding their bikes and stuff around. And you kind of realize how important that small community bike shop is to a city like ours. I wanted to mention, I went to the park department meeting where the bike stuff has been kicked over to them, and it seems as though there are so many large projects that they're working on that the Sharrow markings from Front Street up to Bidwell Park would be a low-hanging fruit. It would be an easy thing, and the community would really benefit from it. And then the larger projects, are what you guys are working on, I'm sure. Dredging and new bathrooms and stuff at the park. But the Sharrow thing, and I'd like to kind of get a thumbs up from the city to ODOT. Because they evidently say that they're waiting for us to give them the nod to do that, and I'd sure like to see that happen this summer before it rains again. Anyway, thank you all, and if you want to see that block party on Front Street next Saturday, it's the real deal.
Thank you so much for your comments, Dean. And the last person wishing to speak this evening is Steve Schneiderman. Okay, how about we'll have you speak next? Okay, wonderful.
Hi, I'm Steve Schneiderman, live out on Seaway Drive here in Coos Bay. Council President DeNovo, Mayor Benetti online, councilors. I don't have a prepared speech. I want to speak more from the heart. Everyone's aware of the homeless problem we've had ongoing in our community for quite a few years now. I want to speak to a new aspect that's come to light of late. We have a homeless population that spend the night in the park-like setting where the fire station used to be. And then in the mornings they have to break down camp. Well, their new hangout place seems to be the Coos Bay Fallen Firefighters Memorial Plaza. And that is just not acceptable to me. And I've had this discussion with members of the Carpenter family about it, and they are not pleased. I stopped by there just before coming into the building tonight. There's cigarette butts all around the Maltese. There's trash. There's some components that I was afraid to get too close to examine to see what it really was, but it's disgusting. I see people hanging out on the bench, which, it's a bench, but now this morning there were people behind the Maltese and the statues, between that and the wall, just laying around. And this needs to be a safe space, especially for, our fallen firefighters. There were a lot of kids, and now there's grandkids involved, and they should be able to come to town if they're passing through or on vacation, just want to come to town and be able to visit the memorial, read the plaques, read the bricks and everything, and have a safe environment to be able to do that in. And I encourage this council and staff to work together to see how we can ban that as a as a loitering place and more as a comfort zone, a safe zone. It saddens me. So I'll open it up if there's any questions or comments. Oh, and when I talked to Mayor Benetti about it, I know I'm almost out of time, he had a few ideas. I don't think our police department should have to go there every day and clean up the people. I don't think our firefighters on duty need to go there and play the role of police officers. I think it's some type of statute or we need to come up with some plan to make that the safe space that it was designed to be. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments, Steve. Appreciate it. And last but not least, please join us at the podium, my friend. And I bet I know what you're going to talk about. Oh, yes. Bicycles.
Okay, Mike Powder, the grand old city of Empire. And nothing major tonight. I went to Eugene on Saturday to an e-bike get together or whatever it was. It's phenomenal what they do. If anybody ever gets over there and you got a bike, throw it in the back of your truck and go along the river there and around some of the streets. It's quite remarkable how you can get around easily and safely in Eugene. Anyway, another thing, tourism in the area. Bay Point Landing, I don't know if anybody heard from the Dirt magazine, they've named it as the #1 place in the Pacific region. And it's in the top 10 in the whole United States. And if you go to the page there, you'll see a motorhome with a couple of bikes on the back of it. Well, I've interviewed people there. I've driven around there and talked to people, and those bikes stay there. There's nowhere for people they want to go. You know, I mean, it would be nice. It's a long dream. It would be nice if you could ride to Charleston or ride into town. But at the moment, it's not safe. It's not safe for kids. Anyway, that was one other thing. The other thing, we had the bike bus, and I don't know if you know what a bike bus is. That's where we grab a bunch of kids. We all ride to school, and it's phenomenal. And I've done it twice now. I do it every day if I could. I'd take, ride with the kids to school and back again. This time I was a sweeper. I got an important job. I was at the tail end, and there was one little girl, a little kid, and we got left way behind. But a guy by the name of Dylan from the bike place and me, we protected her, human shields. This kid struggled on a bike. Everybody had gone off. She struggled. She was as happy as could be. I don't know I'd be on the floor crying till Mom came and got me. But she was happy as can be, thoroughly enjoyed it, and the whole attitude, the mental health of everybody on these bike runs is so much more terrific. It's a lot better than sticking them in a school bus, a diesel school bus or a back of a seat, of a car. Anyway, that's it. One other thing, I'd like to thank the Coos Bay Police Department. They were there on the deal, and also on a personal basis, we had a bit of a problem at the back of my property. We had to clean out a drug camp. And the response and the professionalism of the Coos Bay Police Department, I think, is just phenomenal. And I think we're very, very lucky to have Chief Chris Champanard's leadership and looking after us. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mike. Mike, you've been talking about bikes for so long now. I actually bought a bike about 4 months ago, and I can tell you, yes, I can still do it, and I have been riding in Eugene, and it's been a great experience. So thank you for your passion. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. I would like to point out that on the consent calendar, we are accepting a Business Oregon seismic rehabilitation grant for the Eastside Fire Station in the amount of $1,125,284. And Nicole, I don't know if you or the chief are going to speak to that, but I really want to commend the staff for writing a grant and getting over $1 million for the project.
Yeah, so I can certainly speak to that. I don't know if Chief wants to stand up and also talk to it, but we are fortunate that most all of our departments have grant writing capacity within them, and our fire department is top-notch as far as dollars coming down. Our library probably writes more grants successfully but they're dollars, they're just not quite the same. This is for the East Side Fire Station, so we want to make sure that that maintains a safe environment. It is used throughout the year, so we certainly want to make sure that it's still accessible for the uses that it currently has. So, yeah, definitely proud of the work of our fire department to both apply and be awarded for such a significant grant.
It's very exciting. Congratulations. With that said, may I get a motion for approval of the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
I would second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Sorry. Oh, I'm a yay.
Thanks, Councillor Matthews. Okay, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a presentation, and I don't see the presenter here, so
I think
we'll
can
just move
skip.
on?
Yeah.
Okay. I told you that there were a number of public hearings this evening, and the first one is consideration of the supplemental budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year, and approval would require adoption of resolution 24-19. Nicole, will you be leading that conversation?
Actually, I'd open that up for Melissa to move forward.
Good evening. So what you have before you is basically a true-up of appropriations authorities that council gave us at the beginning of the 2023-2024 fiscal year. And to make sure that we're complying with local budget law, we want to bring all those appropriations to actual. Beginning of the year, we budget for what we estimate the carryover is going to be. So this is bringing, if it's additional or less, to actual. We have a lot of donations this year, some grants that we need to appropriate for, and some movement of some funds within the categories. So the majority is probably donations and grants and carryover. But if you have any questions on any of them, let me know.
Okay, with that said, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone like to make comment? Okay, with that said, I will close the public hearing. Councilors or Mayor Benetti, any comments in regards to the budget?
Looks satisfactory to me. Looks good. Thank you, Melissa.
I had no concerns.
Okay, with
Didn't have anything. I really want to thank the staff for the work they did putting this together, making it so easy, and the work and questions that came from the budget committee that sent this over to us.
great, I concur and couldn't agree more. So with that said, I will entertain a motion for adoption of Resolution 24-19.
I would make a motion that we would adopt Resolution 24-19 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 24-19. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Councillor Matthews, you got to speed it up.
I know, my button for some reason is not working very well.
Okay, we have everyone in favor, so motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is another public hearing for approval of the 24-25 budget with adoption of Resolution 24-22. Nicole.
Yes, thank you. So we just spoke about the budget that we are currently working within, amending that budget, and what we are now going to be addressing is what we're proposing for next year. This budget was presented and approved by the Budget Committee over 2 meetings, the final meeting being on May 9th. What you have before you is they made a slight revision at that meeting, but essentially the proposed budget that staff worked on and brought forward. With the adoption of the resolution that would appropriate the funds and also establish our permanent levy rate for the coming fiscal year and the general obligation bonded debt rate to be able to cover the bonded debt, which is for the fire station.
Great, thank you. I will open the public hearing. Are there anyone who would wish to make a comment? Okay, since there are no comments, I will close the public hearing. And counselors, would you like to make any comments in regards to this? I just would like to thank the Budget Committee. I thought it was a really engaged group this year, and we had some great conversation. So I'm really appreciative, not only to the Budget Committee, but again to the staff that makes this so easy. You all do such great work, and this was a hard budget, so thank you. With that said, I will ask for a motion to adopt the budget, make appropriations, and the levy ad valorem taxes with adoption of Resolution 24-22.
I would make a motion, a resolution adopting the budget of the City of Coos Bay, Coos County, Oregon for the 24-25 fiscal year, making appropriations for the purposes designated in levying taxes 24-22.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Councillor Matthews?
I said aye.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I was on it this time.
Okay. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing on the use of revenue sharing funds, and approval to accept the funds would require adoption of Resolution 24-21. Nicole.
This is just a housekeeping piece of work that we need to do each year in order to have access to state revenue sharing funds. That requirement is a public hearing before both the Budget Committee, which occurred at their meeting, and then also before the City Council, and that affords the opportunity for the public to speak about both the acceptance of state revenue sharing and if there's any input on and how we should spend that. We do apportion a piece of that towards our community grant program. That's how that's funded.
Great, thank you. With that said, I will open the public hearing. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, I will close the public hearing and I will entertain a motion.
I move we adopt Resolution 24-21, accepting state revenue sharing funds.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 24-21, accepting state revenue sharing funds. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is consideration of adopting Resolution 24-18 to adjust sewer user fees. Nicole.
Yes, thank you. So this is an additional piece of the budget, again, presented to the Budget Committee in May. That budget included a 6.5% increase in sewer user rates. That is the budget that you guys just held the public hearing for. We did have our rate consultant on site actually a couple times in the last few months to discuss the rate as well as some recommendations. So the resolution is what will be forwarded to the Water Board, which would authorize the change in the rates that they bill out on our behalf.
Okay. Counselors, are there any? Well, first I want to be like Mayor Benetti, and I want to lead with an alternative. So before us, we have a recommendation of increasing the rates to 6.5%. We also received a recommendation from our consultant of 7.5%. Nicole, if I understand the information we've received, per household, an increase of 6.5% is about $5.55. And the 7.5%, as recommended by the consultant, is $6.42.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Can we have somebody explain for purposes of the public knowledge why the consultant did come back and recommend 7.5%?
That is great. Could you do that, Nicole?
So there was, in our initial discussions, I think he was here in January, there was a project that finished a little bit earlier, and so that debt service was going to come online a little bit earlier than we initially were working with. That's the largest piece of this. Though we could do the 6.5%, that does cause us some challenges when we look forward, specifically in the unplanned emergency. I'm not sure what kind of tag we want to put on those projects. That is the nature of our aged system. We are going to have those come up outside of when we prefer them to come up. A great example, we had the 101 pretty significant event. We had this on commercial again in this period. So if we stick with the 6.5, we can make that work. We will be a little bit more challenged if there are some unplanned events, and we know there will be. So the 7.5 is the recommendation that will give us the appropriate response ability, and it will also better set us staged for future years as we look to trying to keep flat and reserve amounts available to be responsive.
I appreciate that background. I think for me personally, before I open up to others to comment, is that we've worked so diligently to try to stay ahead of this, and I would hate for us to get behind. With that said, it's always difficult to have to make these increases. I think if the figure was like $80,000, we would have additionally for these emergency projects if need be.
Yes.
Okay. So I know it's a difficult decision. I did want to put it before the council this evening for consideration. I don't know if there's any other questions or comments in regards to it.
Well, I guess I really need to make sure that the public understands. We had 2 events that were pretty major where the system failed. They were not planned for. One of them was almost catastrophic. But the other one was pretty significant too, and that was a pretty sizable chunk that had to come out of the budget. And it's because we had done this planning in advance. I mean, I'm not for raising rates just to be, I'm going to use that term, Carmen, willy-nilly about raising rates just so that we can create a pot. But I think the reality is, we have a very aged system that's functioned well past its life in a lot of capacities, and the staff has been pretty aggressive about being on top of that. But if we have 1 or 2 or 5 in a year, we don't have that capacity to deal with that. So I think it's prudent to take the step now and then level things out to go that extra %. It's my 2 cents.
Yes, I concur with Councilor Kilmer. I think we need to keep in mind that in 2016, when some of us came on, we had a consultant that would do an analysis every year on our sewer and the rates that we needed to increase and maintain our facility. I think it was a brilliant idea that was established prior to us coming on. We've followed that, and it's been very prudent for us. You need to think about, or I do, I remember the times, and I've mentioned this multiple times, where we had to increase the sewer rates by 25% one year and then another 20%, which is devastating to any individual. I know rates are not something that we like to do, but I think it's being prudent to keep our system up and going. Also, Plant 2 was a $26 million facility. We didn't go out for a levy for that. We were able to have the funds in hand because of this consultant and prudent spending and savings. We also are facing Plant 1 with $24 million, same thing. We're not going out for another levy to support that fund. We're going to be able to pay it with what we have and we've accumulated. So I think this is definitely the way to go. If we did the 6.5%, as Stephanie mentioned, and I think Lucinda, you mentioned also, we would be behind, and we'd be very in an awkward situation financially, and if anything came along for our wastewater to take care of, and then we'd have to be scrambling to borrow money possibly, or find another alternative, and I don't think we want to put our citizens and ourselves in that position. So I do support the recommendation of 7.5%.
Yep, I think staying proactive on these things is what has kept us out of having to make those double-digit increases, like Joe mentioned, up 20, 25%, because something went wrong. Staying the course on these smaller increases, even though, I mean, 7.5, obviously a little more than 6.5, but if it keeps us out of having to do 25% increases, then it's the right thing to do.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Tim.
and Nicole, can you reference what, the 6.5% would cost the average citizen increase, and what the 7.5% cost would be to the average citizen?
Yeah, so we run just that scenario when in the presentations actually, and so that is again an estimate based on the average household. We currently are at 85.57 in this period right now. A 6.5% increase would increase that to $91.13. That's an increase of $5.55. 7.5% would increase to $91.99, an increase of $6.42.
So can you, so 6.5 is 91.13 for the average, and 7.5 is 91.99.
Correct.
But it makes $40,000 or $80,000 difference to the fund.
So the difference between the 6.5 and the 7.5 is $80,000.
Okay.
Councillor Cribbins, you've been quiet.
More of an overlying general comment is, the demand for services continues to increase. The cost of those services continue to increase. The revenue sources for those funds do not. So as everyone has mentioned earlier, lauding the staff working on the budgets, being creative and stretching those dollars and nickels as far as you can is really quite impressive to do it year after year, because every year it's not like we can raise the price of the widget and increase the revenue. So we have to deal with what we have. And that being said, though, just as a separate set, our wastewater treatment plant is a very complicated and very expansive system. It is going to need upkeep and maintenance, and we don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish. And that's I should stop saying the cliche statements. That'll be my last one.
Okay.
But it is imperative that we maintain that and stay ahead of that so that we don't suffer those catastrophic issues, and that we are ahead and we're planning for it. And I realize that even $5.55 is a lot extra a month for a majority of our citizenry. But it's imperative that we keep that system operating, because it could cost a lot more than that if we don't. So I'm in support of it as well.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cribbins. Councillor Matthews, any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to concur with Councilor Cribbins' remarks. I really feel like it's our duty to be the responsible fiscal party to ensure the health and safety of our members of our community and the health of our environment. And this is how we do this. And I know it's hard, but it's imperative. This is our health that we're talking about when it comes down to it, and it's a marvel of modern engineering that we have the facilities to take care of all of these people, and to ensure the health and safety of our bays and our community members. And I think it's worth every penny. That being said, I know this is difficult. I hope you understand where we're coming from, and the responsibility that I believe we have to do as members of our community to ensure that we are well funded.
Thank you, Councillor Matthews. Councillor Stevens, any comments?
I think everyone has said everything I would say, and I concur with everything that everyone said. hardship, and I know lots of folks are struggling, but it's important that we do this now so that there's not a greater rate increase in the future.
And like it or not, we have 2 wastewater treatment plants, so that's what continues to make this incredibly challenging. So with that said, I made this recommendation, Nicole, and I know we have a resolution before us. What are the next steps for a motion at 7.5%?
Well, I can certainly take a stab at that, and then Nate can fill in if I'm incorrect. But I believe you could make a motion amending the proposed resolution, and we can have that drafted and ready for signature. So,
okay.
I'll take a stab.
Great, thank you, Troy.
I would like to, the council to adopt resolution 24-18, adjusting sewer user rates, charges, and fees at the discussed rate of 7.5%.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, resolution passes. So we have a resolution to adopt increased sewer user rates at 7.5%. Great. Thank you. I appreciate the conversation and the thoughtfulness from this council. The next item on the agenda is consideration of appointments to the library and tree board. Nicole.
yes, thank you. Recently, the city had advertised openings on both the library board and the tree board. There's 1 opening on the library board and 2 on the tree board. We also, as part of this, the Downtown Association and Parks Commission representatives were open also. The Downtown Association is just asking that their recommended Harv, which I believe he's on with us tonight, be reappointed, and also Parks Commission, Councilor Matthews be reappointed. The other open positions, interviews were held just previous to the meeting tonight. The 2 library board applicants, one of them was able to make the interview, and the 2 tree board applicants both attended the interview. Those are for the tree board reappointments. So what's before you is to a couple of motions to appoint for the library board, to ratify the appointments to the tree board for the Downtown Association and the Parks Commission, and then motion, should you wish, to reappoint the tree board members that interviewed.
Thank you, Nicole. Before I ask the councilors to make a motion, I would like to thank both Julie Stevens and Sarah Palmer for applying for the library board. Both applications were wonderful, really qualified candidates, and so it's always exciting to have volunteers and people of their caliber wanting to serve the city in a volunteer capacity. So with that said, I will entertain a motion for the library board position.
Don't we have to vote?
It looks like we're not voting according to this.
I apologize. I didn't. It would be dirty, but we could. We can text.
Okay. Why don't we vote? That's what we're used to. So Christine is madly ripping some ballots for us, so bear with us.
And then Sarah has.
Reverse the order and do number 3 motion.
You want Mayor and Councilor.
Yes, so while that happens, we also have a motion to ratify appointments to the tree board. I would entertain a motion for that.
I'll move that we reappoint Patrick Bringardner and Cora Vondervelden to the tree board.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Did we need to second that?
Oh, second.
I'll be recorded as second in it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Let's go to back to the appointment of the library board.
I move we reappoint.
Wait.
Oh,
Oh, no, we're doing the library board. the ballot. Sorry.
Oh, we're going to the library.
We really are better
I thought
than
we were
this.
going to the- I was buying you some more time.
How about motion number 2? You want to do motion number 2? What is it?
Okay, well, that is being conducted. We will, and tallied. We will, I'll entertain a motion to reappoint, or to ratify reappointments to the tree board.
That's what I was.
I make a motion to ratify appointments to the tree board. The Coos Bay Downtown Association Representative Harv Schuthbolthy, if I pronounce that incorrect, please forgive me, and Park Commission's Representative Councilor Carmen Matthews.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion
We
carries.
have done this before.
We have done this before. How are we going to deal with the,
So Counselor Stevens texted her library vote. I don't know if Mayor Benetti or Counselor Matthews would also like to do the same.
I went ahead and voted by text too.
I'm lagging, of course.
Okay, so we may just be down to Mayor
Mayor
Benetti.
Benetti.
Holding up the,
that's okay, Mayor Benetti.
It's a very
Yeah.
formal process.
yeah, you're used to this, right? Okay, all right.
Council President DeNovo, I just wanted to say thank you for running the meeting tonight and putting up with us. I'm serious. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I always like to bring levity to every meeting, and this one is quite entertaining. Scott, I promise you, if you are up on this dais, it typically doesn't go like this, so. Okay. So it looks like, Christine, can you make the announcement?
Yes. Julie, oh, I can. Do you want to do it?
No, it's okay.
Sorry. Julie Stevens has received the most votes.
Congratulations, Julie. Really excited that you're going to be on the library board, and really appreciate your commitment to the community with your service to the, just went blank, the organization I love, Washed Ashore, and excuse me, the other organizations you support. So congratulations to you.
Should we make it official with the motion?
Yes, I'm going to make it official. I would love to entertain a motion for Julie Stevens to be on the library board.
I would like to make a motion to approve Julie Stevens to the library board.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to appoint Julie Stevens to the library board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is consideration of appointments to the City-County Shared UGB Long Range Planning Project Advisory Committee, longest committee name ever. Chelsea.
Yes, so staff is working with Coos County and the Department of Land Conservation on the city-county's shared urban growth boundary. It's like a long-range planning project where we're going to look at, consider the shared urban growth boundary lands, existing policies, regulations, issues, opportunities, where we want to see, how we want to see things in the future moving forward. It'll result in an outline or a framework for next steps, actions to take to get us, the city county, to where we all agree that our urban growth boundaries should be. So right now we're at the stage of setting up the advisory committee. City staff, county staff are on that committee, but council also has the opportunity to appoint a member to serve as a representative of council. And the commitment is approximately 4 meetings over the course of the next year. And so we're asking that council consider appointing somebody to that.
Thank you.
Important work.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Yeah.
I know this is a passion project for Mayor Benetti. I don't know if any other councilors are interested in serving, but my recommendation would be to appoint Mayor Benetti to this committee.
I would make a motion then to appoint Mayor Benetti to the committee as presented to us.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint Mayor Benetti to the City-County Shared UGB Long Range Planning Project Advisory Committee. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is to adopt the tree board's recommended tree list for the urban renewal districts. Jennifer.
Okay, thank you. So the Coos Bay Tree Board was created with the purpose to promote and protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the city of Coos Bay by providing the regulation of the planting, maintenance, and removal of trees and shrubs within city limits. So one of the responsibilities of the board is to create a tree list. At the March 27th, 2024 Tree Board meeting, the board recommended the approval of a new list of street trees for consideration for council approval. It's attached to the staff report. This new list is only proposed for the right-of-ways within the downtown and Empire urban renewal districts and will replace the existing 1995 list. If approved, this list will help guide both staff and development to have consistent tree plantings in the rights-of-ways within these two districts. And then at a later date, the tree board is planning on looking at the remaining areas within the city, and those are the right-of-ways, and they plan on coming back to this council for another list for consideration.
Thank you, Jennifer. The only question I have, I'm channeling my late husband, and I know the question he would ask is, how many native plants do we have on this document?
I'm sorry, I cannot answer that. I am not a tree expert. I can get you that answer, though, if you'd like to postpone this decision.
I don't know how the
I like that.
council. Okay, great. So we will ask you to bring that back to council.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions that council has?
Yes. What's the process if somebody wants to plant a tree that's not on this list?
They have to submit an application to the tree board.
Okay. So it's not no. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes.
Okay. With that said, I think, do we have consensus to bring it back after we get a little bit more information?
Yes.
From Jennifer? Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the after-the-fact approval of hauling and disposal of contaminated soils associated with Plant 1, Phase 1 upgrade project. Jennifer, back to you.
Thank you. So construction for the Plant 1 upgrade project commenced in fall of 2023. The contractor that was awarded this project is McLaren Sons, or MSI. The first phase of work was excavating and dewatering for the construction of the new chlorine contact chamber and secondary clarifier. The majority of this excavation work was proposed along the southwestern portion of the Plant 1 site. Throughout the excavation limits, debris and old piling were encountered. This was not unexpected. However, in mid-December, a sheen, some discoloration, and petroleum-like smell was observed in the soil around the existing piles in the southernmost limits of the excavation work. For those of you who may have some history in the site, there used to be an old bowling alley, and so it was the creosote piling that supported the bowling alley structure that caused this issue. So it was just limited to the very southern portion of the site. So because of the potential of contaminated soils, the excavation work had to stop. MSI worked with an environmental consultant to perform testing, and it was determined that the soil could not be classified as clean fill. However, it did not have the significant levels of contaminants such that it needed special handling and disposal. In working with the local landfill, Beaver Hill, it was determined that the contaminated soils could be hauled and disposed of locally. To save on costs, the Plant 1 Phase 1 upgrade schedule, city staff took over the managing of hauling and disposing of these contaminated soils. In total, approximately 970 cubic yards were removed and disposed of at Beaver Hill. So the total cost to dispose of this material was $184,032.90. The hauling costs are considered goods and services in less than $25,000, so they are not subject to competitive bidding. The Beaver Hill disposal site is the only local disposal site in this area. As such, this is exempt from public procurement per Section 6, Item K in the purchasing requirements. So overall, the Plant 1 project has a total budget of $24 million. The cost to haul and dispose of these contaminated soils can be covered under contingency. The contingency for the MSI contract was originally approved to be approximately $2.3 million. So something I want to note is this staff report is not proposing to change that amount. And the overall cost of the project is still $24 million. Just a little background on where the $2.3 million in contingency has occurred to date. To date, $267,167 has been approved in change orders to MSI. If council approves this action item, it still leaves approximately $1.9 for contingency. Another item maybe to note, it's not uncommon to see change orders when doing underground work. In this case, we're doing the excavation work. There can be a lot of unknowns. Overall, the project is going smooth and is currently on schedule and meeting budget. I've included in your staff report an updated budget breakdown, and the only difference is taking that original 2.3 million and putting it in maybe 3 buckets. Approved change orders to date, contaminated soils, and then contingency remaining.
Jennifer, thank you for your thoroughness and that explanation. Really appreciate it. Councilors, any questions or comments?
I think it's important to point out that it was $475 a ton that we used on Front Street to dispose of landfill, and they were creative and were able to work with Beaver Hill and get it for $185 a ton. So with their prudence and resourcefulness, they were able to save us quite a bit of money. So
Thank you, Mayor Benetti.
I'm just going to say,
Crittens?
a great job for keeping it on time and within budget so far.
Agreed. With that said, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve the $184,033 for the hauling and disposal of contaminated soils associated with the Plant 1 Phase 1 upgrade project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the $184,033 for hauling and disposal of contaminated soils associated with the Plant 1 Phase 1 upgrade. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The last item for discussion this evening is review of the official canvass of votes for the May 2024 election results for Measure 6-211 of the Library Advisory Vote. Nicole.
Yes, thank you. The Charter of the City of Coos Bay dictates that the results of elections be made a matter of record in our Journal of Council Proceedings. In this instance, it would require that we are reading into the record the total ballots cast, which was 3,858, the total registered voters, which was 11,414, total votes cast for yes, 1,936, which comprises 53.71% of the votes total. And total votes cast for no was 1,478 for 43.29% of total votes.
Any questions or comments?
It says ballots cast. The total numbers of yes and no does not equal up to the ballots cast. Does that just include ballots that didn't check the box?
Yes, so there is undervotes. Those are kind of those reconciling and overvotes.
Cool.
Any comments? Okay, all right. Appreciate the comments from the audience in regards to the library. And with that said, I think the next item on the agenda is the city manager report.
Yes, thank you. So the first thing I wanted to share was work is underway. There's been some discussion about interest in analyzing some processes in-house in relation to our permitting and licensing and things like that. We reached out for a grant under the Housing and Urban Development Department, HUD, through their Distressed Communities Technical Assistance Program. And they have coordinated with us. There are going to be a couple of folks on site. They have a consultant who will come on site and do some initial interviews with staff this next week. I think they've reached out to most everybody to set those up independent. From that, they will then create a scope that will kind of guide the work over the coming months. Could take potentially a year if they're wanting to gather enough data and walk through enough processes to see where there potentially may be some revisions in either simplifying or maybe providing better details, anything like that, in order to make doing business in Coos Bay a little bit smoother for both sides of the counter. I was also going to share the bike work, so thanks to the sharing of that out. That event, I've been to that. It is a great, really fun event, definitely community building for sure. Also share that Juneteenth is tomorrow, so there's some celebrations happening here. Actually, this whole week, earlier today, there was a presentation out at the college. Tomorrow, here in this front courtyard area, between 5 and 7:30, there will be an African drumming group here. And then on Friday the 21st at the Egyptian, they're doing a screening of the Black Panther for free, and it starts at 7 p.m. So let's see, the mayor's talk that's would have been scheduled for tomorrow will not be happening. The mayor's out of town right at the moment, so. And then there will be some revisions for the coming months, as those typically are intended to follow a meeting, and we do have a revised meeting schedule over the coming months. So we'll make sure to get that in the Friday update. And that is what I had for tonight.
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate it. Councilor, mayor and councilor comments. And since it says mayor first, I will defer to you, Mayor Benetti.
Well, thank you, Council President DeNovo. I got a call from Sam Rutter and expressed that I should recognize an individual that served in our community, Dr. William Bill Hozak. He served on the hospital board, and he passed away in May, and he was 84. He was also the first chief pathologist. So I just wanted to recognize the citizen that served in our community and should be thought about at this time. Also, Steve Steiner mentioned earlier that he had talked to me and about the Fire Memorial Plaza. I did call City Manager Nicole about this, Rutherford, and there was a discussion with, I think, our Chief of Police and our Fire Chief, and I think the first step that we can try to take is an option that they suggested, that we modify the code to include the memorials as an exclusionary, so that if someone's not behaving, they have within the code, then there's some ways that they can suspend them for 30 days and then 60 days or even permanently. I think this is something that we should take a step in doing. It would give the officers a little bit another tool, and I think this would be a good way to start. I agree with Steve Snyderman that this is a honorary place that's special, and I think that we need to try to maintain it and take care of it in that fashion. Also, I had mentioned in the past about 8th Terrace. I still would like to see that parking put into a park, or maybe permit parking, or in some fashion again, where we don't have a facility or a truck or any vehicles parking there 24 hours a day with a lot of material, and try to clean it up and not be so blighted. So anyway, those are my comments. Hopefully that we can accomplish that, and thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I think staff heard Mayor Benetti's request. Great, thank you. I also agree with Mayor Benetti's comment in regards to the memorial that I think was the largest tragedy in Oregon, and we want to make sure that we honor those that we've lost, not only for the families, but for the members of this community. So thank you for your comments, Mayor Benetti. Councilor Matthews, any comments this evening?
Yeah, I'd just like to lend my support to the mayor's comments on the firefighters memorial as well. If there's a way we can protect this for our community members to safely and comfortably approach and pay their respects, I think that that's an important thing that I would like to see done. I just secondarily want to say thank you to the police department and fire department for their support in the Bike to School Day event for the last day of school. They've been spectacular and great partners. I was part of the planning of this, and it was so wonderful to see 100 people biking to school in the morning and starting their day off right. It just really makes you feel good and healthy and just ready for summer in general. So hopefully we'll be doing more of this in the future, which, that being said, bicycle infrastructure is going to be one of my main points that I want to hammer home as much as possible. And as I sit here at the dais and am involved in these discussions, I think bicycle infrastructure is something I'm really finding a passion for. I think it's a healthy thing for us to invest in that can help us in so many different ways as a community, bolstering happiness and the ability for people of all economic situations to find transportation within the city and find joy and happiness within our streets and the ability to just be outside. So that's hopefully what these Bike to School Day events are really bringing into focus is that A, we need that infrastructure, and B, it really does provide a wonderful benefit. So that's all my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Matthews. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thanks. A local business owner has brought to my attention a pretty significant, I don't even know what to call it, but large hole that's on the corner of South 1st Street and Lockhart. They've seen quite a few vehicles getting stuck and in that hole. All of really from Coos to Lockhart on 1st is in pretty bad shape. We've got a few businesses on that street. I don't know if there's grading that's available if we're not able to pave it, but it would be awesome if someone from the city would go check out that maybe the largest pothole in Coos Bay.
We'll do
Yes,
that, Nicole.
noted.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Councillor Stevens?
That's it, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Councillor Farmer.
Troy, good Dumb and Dumber reference earlier. Caught that one. Yes, you're saying there's a chance, right? With the public art fixtures, I'm wondering what Joe mentioned, but also I know in some other cities they've been having ADA challenges against camping in certain areas. So I'm wondering if we could also lean on that to continue access to the memorial sites, that keeping a no camping perimeter is necessary for ADA access. It may just be an angle to use there. Had a meeting with Sheena Corbis. She's on the city council in Coquille. She reached out because she wanted to talk about development stuff. It surprised me, but she brought up the idea of Coos Bay and Coquille talking more closely because she does real estate and development, and apparently there are some larger investors that are interested in our region, but for some reason or another, they want to see the two cities talking to each other and collaborating. Based on what she referenced, I'm thinking this involves some of the people that were involved in the development of the server farms and larger infrastructure near Prineville, which would be nice because that development was transformative for Prineville. It's a little vague, but apparently we need to talk to Coquille more.
Okay.
And then last thing, I've been at a lot of the county's budget meetings, and something that kind of keeps getting plinked my direction is that the cities should be more involved in how the county pays for its police. To my knowledge, the county has never requested to present or come to present to us about something along those lines, right?
Not that I'm aware of in my time here.
I might then suggest to them that if this is an interest of theirs, they come talk to us. Okay, cool, that's it.
Councillor Farmer, thank you for your comments. Councillor Kilmer.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I do want to reiterate how difficult sometimes it is to sit up here and make the decisions that we have to make to raise rates or increase things, but to note that the increase on the sewer rate fee, that is paid by the users, people who are using that service, as opposed to a tax. And I appreciate the difficulty that pretty much every government is facing in providing the expected services that people want, whether it's public safety or wastewater treatment or water. we expect those things to turn on, and when they don't, we get frustrated as much as I mean, we're all citizens here having to deal with this. So I just wanted to say that, you know, it is not easy to say we want to go up another percentage on a 6.5%, but we also have to be good stewards. Also, I want to put out there a kudo for our police department, in line with, I definitely agree with the mayor's comments tonight regarding the memorial. And you know, I was in news when that event happened, and it, you know, it's a community place to gather. And I think we really do need to look at that. But also to send a kudos out to our police department, who, whenever a call comes in about a transient motorhome that's parked, like this morning, in a place where it probably shouldn't be parked because they're just trying to move and get off the street, it sometimes has to feel like they're chasing their tail constantly and trying to deal with the tough situation that our members in our community are facing with homelessness, and trying to direct them to services. And I appreciate our department and our resource officer and our staff that works on a constant basis to try and take care of those issues for all citizens, not just you know, one segment of our population. So I just wanted to say thank you to our police department especially.
Councillor Kilmer, thank you for your very thoughtful comments this evening. I wasn't so eloquent earlier, so I'm going to try this again. I would like to congratulate Julie Stevens for being appointed to the library board, and congratulate Cora Vandervelden and Patrick Bringardner for their reappointment to the tree board. So we always appreciate those who are willing to serve in a voluntary capacity, and so we just wanted to say thank you. I also would like to second Mayor Benetti's comments about sending my condolences to the Hozak family, Kathy, Brittany. I had the great pleasure of working with Bill and getting to know Bill when his daughter Brittany got married at the Mill Casino many, many years ago. And Brittany married a wonderful man, and his family was from New York. And so all these New Yorkers came to the edge of the known world, and they weren't quite sure what to expect. And they were very impressed with the community and the service they received. And Bill was just a tremendous man. I was invited to the house to meet the entire family, and that was just, I think, how he interacted with people was building relationships one person at a time. So my sincere condolences to the entire Hozak family. And with that said, I'm going to adjourn tonight's meeting, and we have an Urban Renewal Agency meeting. So meeting adjourned.